Exercise 10-2. Fantastic Feeder Products manufactures high-quality wooden cutting boards sold to restaurants and gourmet home cooks. One of these boards requires expensive hardwood. During a recent month, the company manufactured 1,200 of the cutting boards, and they used 540 meters of hardwood. The hardwood cost the company $2,970. The company's standards for one cutting board are 0.4 meters of hardwood at a cost of $5 per meter. So here we're told what they made 1,200 boards. They used 540 meters at a total cost of $29.70. But the standard is to use 0.4 meters for each cutting board, and it's $5 per meter. So, what cost for wood should have been incurred to make the 1,200 cutting boards? How much greater or less is this than the cost that was incurred? So if we use the standards, how much wood should they have used at what cost? So they made 1,200 boards. We're here. Then how much wood should they have used for each board? So for each board they used 0.4 meters of hardwood. So if you multiply that then, so to make 1,200 cutting boards, they should have used 480 meters. And the standard cost per meter is $5. So 480 meters at $5 per meter. The standard cost then would be $2,400. So we need the total cost because we're given the total cost here. So they actually spent $29.70. But if they had, for that number of cutting boards, according to the standards, they should only have spent $2,400. So therefore, they spent more than what they should have, according to the standards. So because they spent more, the variance is unfavorable. Break down the difference computed in part 1 above into a material price variance and a materials quantity variance. So if you take a look at page 392, Exhibit 10-4, that's how we're going to answer these questions. Now, you can do, it's done here twice. You can do it this way using the example of the exhibit in 10-4, or you can use some formulas. I prefer actually the similar way as the exhibit. I find students find it much easier to visualize. It's the same thing, but it's just easier to visualize this way. But you can, either way, if you do it on an exam or an assignment, unless I specify, I don't care which way you do it, you'll get the same answers. But when we start doing questions, I'll probably just do it this way. I'll go through both of them right now, but I'll do it this way. But you can do it whichever way you want. So, if we do it according to the Exhibit 10-4, so first thing we want is our actual quantity of inputs at the actual price. So actual quantity times actual price. Here, we're given the quantity, but we're not given the price per meter kind of thing. We're just given the total. So what we put here is the total. That's what we're given. We could have been given, instead of $5 per meter, like per meter here, we could have been given an amount per meter here, which we would have said 540 meters times the price per meter. But we're given the total. So $29.70 is our total. Actual quantity of inputs at the standard price. So actual quantity times standard price. So the actual quantity used was 540 meters multiplied by the standard price, and that's $5 per meter. So that gives us $2,700. And then our third amount is our standard quantity allowed for output times at the standard price. So standard quantity times standard price. Our standard quantity we calculated up here. 1,200 boards using 0.4 meters per board, which means they were allowed to use 480 meters according to the standards. So 480 board meters times the standard price of $5 per meter is $2,400. So now the difference between these first two is our price variance. And it's here we're using actual quantity of inputs. Here we're using actual quantity of inputs. The difference is here it's actual price. Here it's standard price. So that's what the difference is made up of. Our actual price, the difference in actual price, and here using standard price. So the actual amount that we used, $29.70, is higher than if we had than the standard price. So that means our price variance is negative. So you just subtract the two numbers, but it's a negative variance because our actual was higher. Here, the difference between these two is your quantity variance. And again, here it's actual quantity. Here it's standard quantity. Both use standard price. So the difference comes from actual quantity that was used compared to the standard quantity that should have been used. So that's our quantity variance. Here, our actual quantity amounted to the 2,700. Here, using standard quantity, we had 2,400. So therefore, the amount using actual quantity was higher. So again, because our actual was higher than the standard, it's unfavorable. So our price variance was $270 unfavorable. Our quantity variance was $300 unfavorable. Add them together, $570 unfavorable. So that's what I find most people find easier, is looking not the math part, but determining if your variance is favorable or unfavorable. People tend to see this a bit easier. You can use the formula. So our material price variance is actual quantity times actual price minus standard price. So actual quantity was 540 board meters times actual price. Now there we had to work it out because we're given the total $29.70. So if you take the total amount, $2,970, and you divide it by the actual number of meters that were used, you'll get $5.50 per meter. So actual price, $5.50 per meter, minus standard price, which we're given at $5 per meter. You do the math, you get 270. If the number is positive, it means unfavorable. Materials quantity variance is, and actually I just want to point out, if you look at this, you can kind of see actual price times actual quantity, actual price standard times standard price, actual quantity times actual price, actual quantity times standard price. Sorry, I think I misspoke there. If you work that out, you get this formula. Materials quantity variance, which is what we looked at in this last half of the calculation up here, is standard price, again, which is the same variable here in both, times actual quantity minus standard quantity. So it's kind of just taking this and re-putting it into a formula. So standard price was $5 per meter we were given. Actual quantity was 540 meters. Standard quantity we worked out that up here was 480 meters. So again, if you work that out, you get 300, and it's positive 300, so that means it's unfavorable. So when you use the formulas, if you get a positive number, it means unfavorable. If you get a negative number, it's favorable. When you do it this way here, like the exhibit that was in 10-4, then you just kind of use your common sense thing. Here it's actual price, here it's standard price. Our actual was higher. That makes it unfavorable. So it's up to you which way you want to do it. Whatever one you find easiest, either one is acceptable. You will get the same answers.